Hello, I'm Steve Dew and welcome to another Assess Progress how-to video. Today we're going to be looking at the results that you might expect to get from one of your sessions. Here's an example of some results from one of our live sessions that we've just completed with Year 6. This is the first page you get once you click into your links. Down the right-hand side here, we've got all the session details. So in this one, the stimulus here, I can click on that and it gives me through to a link in the stimulus. Year 6, there are 12 schools that took part in this, so it's just a small time MAT version of moderation. 366 children in total, 43 different teachers looking at the judgments, and this is where we differ than any other comparative judgment engine in that our teacher moderators, these 43 teachers, are looking at the work of other schools. So the judgments that are made are not from the teacher in the home school, but teachers across the MAT. And 3,660 judgments in total. This confidence rating here gives us the likelihood of, if we run exactly the same session again with exactly the same teachers, what's the likelihood of us having exactly the same outcomes? And 70, we've turned this into a percentage, but 74.3%. Our gold standard is anywhere above 80. A normal moderation produces around about a 60% agreement rate with the teachers. So this is quite a good agreement for the stimulus, which was quite narrow focused around a formal letter from Year 6s. So not much options to broaden, like a narrative, to broaden what they might write. So we're quite happy with this. Here's your front page then. This will be just for your school, and I'll click through some of these and we'll just talk about what that might look like. So this is a live session. So move our camera out of the way. Over there. So the box plot for the whole school data is here. This is the school that we've clicked on. I can make that frame much bigger. So in grey or greyed out, anonymised, are all of the schools in the session. This one is the school that we're looking at, and then all the other schools along here. The information that I can get from this page is that I've got a sort of normalised distribution, I suppose, of this tail at the bottom is the bottom 25% in my school, in my Year 6 class. This denotes the middle 50%, and this the top 25%. What I can tell from this is if this is quite a short stem here, that the distribution of that bottom 25% is quite closely packed together. But here you can see that's reasonably long. So I've got quite a broadly distributed group on our bottom 25% here. My middle 50, however, my middle 50% are quite closely packed, as are the ones in these schools here. And then my top 25%, I suppose, have a sort of normalized distribution compared to some of those. Can't draw too many comparisons on what the context in other schools looks like. That's quite difficult to do from this, but I'm just concentrating on my school for now. So I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to move over to the rank order. That's drawn up large. On the Assess Progress sessions, we put in the greater depth and we put in expected standard markers. This is based statistically on data from the DFE. And we put that into every session, regardless of the year group, based on either a key stage, end of key stage 1 or end of key stage 2. We think it's useful, but just for statistical to work out, obviously, the different assessment points. If you're looking to look at end of key stage 2 assessment or end of key stage 1 assessment, that's based on a rubric, and you need to follow those because when you get moderated by a local authority or by a DFE, you need to be able to produce evidence against all of those criteria. This is just for statistical evidence based on the session that we have run. And some of our larger national sessions where we've got many hundreds of schools, we can draw a greater comparison with that. So these are all the children in my school. I can see that these have met the sort of statistical analysis for greater depth. These children all sit in the expected range, and then these children down here lower than what the than that for expected. There's not too much to say on here. What I can do is I can narrow my range. So if I've got 366 pupils in total in the session, and I take this to around about, then what would that be? Around about 180. So what it does is it narrows the focus down, so I can just look at those children that are sitting in about the bottom half. Likewise, I can move this and just look at the children sitting in the top half, or maybe even just these 4 children. One thing to recognise is all of these grey bars, these are all the other children from all the other schools in all the session. The steepness of this curve at both ends is quite significant in that what it describes is the difference between that child there, for instance, and this child is quite steep. So in the sense of where did they come in the rank order, this child is 11th from this school, and this child here is 3rd or even 5th there. So in a linear fashion, we've got 5th to 7th, there's 6 other children between them. But because of the steepness of this rise on the graph, what we can say is that the difference between them is quite stark. And we can also see that down at the other end of the graph as well. Where the graph is quite flat, then there's not too much difference apart from the linear difference between the two. And then underneath, I've got all of my data for all the children. I've got here my overall rank in the whole session, the rank in the class, which we'll look at in a minute in a bit more detail, and the rank in this school, and then the percentile of the percentage in comparison to the session. In future sessions, we're also going to have here the expected or greater depth markers, so you can see those at a look. If I come out of this bit, here we put some helpful, useful questions that you might use to analyse the data further, have a conversation with SLT, have a conversation with any middle leaders, English leaders, talking or trying to get teachers or supporting teachers to talk about the data and what that might mean for the school. In some year group sessions with Assess Progress, we combine sessions to mix sessions. So maybe we do a year 1 and 2 session, or 3, 4, or 5, 6 throughout the year. That's where that information will be given. What we also are able to do with Assess Progress, which is different than with other comparative judgment engines, is we split the information down by class as well. So I can see that these might, if all of the classes were separate schools, this is the information that I would have, and I can see my class that I'd labelled B, my class that I'd labelled A, quite different in terms of the weakest children in that class and also the highest. So this class B has got a larger spread in my school, and the middle 50% is much larger as well. So maybe I'm going to look at how I might support the teacher in order to teach the children right up here and also down here with this middle spread in there. And I can see that actually this class do reasonably well, but our average is brought down. This class struggling somewhat with the session, or with English in particular. Here gives me a distribution with the 2 classes. So I've got my purple and blue, shows me that in my school this child is the top child, and I can see again just an easy way to look at the distribution across the class. And I've got my marker bar down at the bottom, and I can select the range, make that much shorter, analyze the data in more detail down there. And then what we've now got here is our class rank system. The 2 separate colours denote the differences in the classes, but I've got the top child in this class. What I'd also maybe do with this is look at the data that the teachers are giving us, which information they're giving us in terms of the quality of assessment in the class. We can use it to look at that. And what we definitely know in using our comparative judgment and the experience that we have with that is that different children perform differently on different days, and also different children perform differently for a different genre. Sometimes children perform differently for genre, even if the context is changed, but the genre stays the same. So we try to do as many comparative judgment sessions as possible to get a better set of data or more information about the child, and where their performance is better or the class performance is weaker. We can work on using that information then to improve the quality of teaching. Okay, so I've got some information there. I've got some questions here that I can also ask to analyse and interrogate the data. I can check on those. and we're about to produce some sessions there. Hopefully that's been useful to you. If you need or would like any more information, you can email us at hello@assessprogress.com, or you can subscribe and like on our YouTube channel and ask us for some information by direct message that way. Okay, nice to have you on board. Bye now.